Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm excited to bring you a review of my recent cruise on Celebrity Apex. Kind of special because for me I haven't been on a cruise since COVID, so it's almost been 5 years. So kind of it's my experience of a person who used to cruise and who hasn't been on a cruise ship for 5 years and what the changes are post COVID. So I got this offer from MGM and also from Celebrity, who have a joint partnership where I was given a free inside room just with taxes. And I decided to upgrade. So my cost was around $750 Canadian per person. And I upgraded to an Infinite Veranda on Celebrity Apex. So I thought that was a pretty good deal. My room number was 8290, and I was really interested. First, Celebrity Edge is a newer ship, at least newer in terms of I haven't been sailing for 5 years. And secondly, the ports were good. It was a 7-night Spain and Portugal cruise. And lastly, it was the Infinite Veranda, which I've never been on. So it was kind of a neat experience, and I thought it would be neat for me to go. Me arriving at the ship terminal. And this review will focus mostly on the ship and the meals there. This is the Infinite Veranda room is 8290, which I think is category E2. Very nice. And I actually liked it. I know people have different views about the Infinite Veranda suite. I really enjoyed it because in a way we could just look out the window in the morning and see this, and we could have the window down if we wanted to. This was in April, and so therefore it wasn't that hot. So I can understand people are saying if you have the Infinite Veranda down, then you don't have the air conditioning. I can see how that could be bad in the summer, but this was in the winter. It was mildly cool. We liked the breeze, and we could just sit in our room and look outside instead of having it totally outside. The other thing was sometimes with the balconies, they're not fully covered. And so this one, it's kind of covered on the top and on the two sides. And, if it was raining or if it was too much sun, you could kind of step back inside the room. So I really actually enjoyed the room. It also looked like it gave more space to the room. So I thought that was good. I was really impressed with the room size. I don't think it's any bigger than before, but I think they do a better job in terms of the furniture and the layouts. It seemed like there was a lot of storage facilities and storage for our luggage and for things. So I was actually quite surprised, or I was quite pleased with the room setting. This is just a short video of the room when we first got in. It's substantial. It's enough. I really liked the whole setup of it. It was clean. It seemed like there was really, really good use of space. And this is the bathroom. I thought it was actually quite spacious, lots of shelf space. The shower was big enough. So it was actually really quite a sufficient room. I think in some of the older ships, if I recall, it was quite a little bit more squished. But I don't think it's much bigger, maybe like 10 or 15 square feet bigger. But I think the balcony does help in terms of extending the space. And also, I think they use spacing better. The ports that we visited, we started off in Barcelona, and then we visited Lisbon, which I thought was okay. We were there for a day. We were there for 2 days in Porto, and I really loved that. Then we were in a place called A Corona, which other than the restaurant that we went to called Miga was just decent. And then we finished off in Southampton. But I still enjoyed the boat. I actually enjoyed the itinerary because Porto, you had 2 days to see things, and Lisbon, again, a very relaxed port. It's not really a very site heavy ports, and the people were friendly. Most things we were there for restaurants or food was not that expensive compared to some other places in the world. So I think it was really enjoyable. The boat itself was very nice, and I was very impressed with. This is the kind of the major area. I thought the activities were good. I thought the service standard actually, if I compare it to 5 years ago, was a bit lower. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that. One is maybe it's just hard to get people working, I think, after COVID. Two is I think now they've got different levels. They've got the at Celebrity, they've got the retreat, and then they've got spa suites. So they've got kind of a level. So maybe if you expect better service, you get that at those kind of more elevated levels. So it is kind of more basic. Whereas I think before everyone was treated the same, maybe suite holders were better. Now you always have classes of people, almost like first class, business class, and economy. I mean, it's not like we were not treated well, but I think probably the best servers, the best butlers will probably be with the most expensive suites. That's kind of just, that's how I think it goes. I didn't find that the service standard was as high as in the past. Maybe I'm just recollecting wrongly, but in the past you would have the people like the stewards just every time I went out it seemed like the room was cleaned up. That's not the case here. They kind of do it like a regular hotel, like twice a day, once in the morning, one time turn down service. And likewise with the restaurants, it used to be the first night they would kind of come to you, try to get your names. This was a little bit different experience, as we'll go through some of the meals here. The outside deck, this is a video of the outside deck. It is quite spacious, and I thought everything was really nice. One thing is that there is a magic carpet that's supposed to go from floor to floor each different times during the cruise, but it was broken on this cruise ship, so that was not good. No, not really. And the other thing I didn't like about this cruise was that the captain's announcements, we actually couldn't hear them in our room. So we actually had to open the door whenever there was a captain announcement to hear what he was saying. Maybe if it was an emergency, it would pipe into our room, but everything else was like, when we arrived, embarkation things, debarkation, we never heard any of that unless you opened the doors. So as for the food, I thought it was okay. I think the standard of food is probably not as high, and they actually kind of use the higher end or paid restaurants to give you the better food. It's acceptable, but I wouldn't say it's spectacular. And I think there has been a decrease in quality over, the last 10 years, I would say. And Celebrity would be considered kind of a mid-level cruise line, I would say. But it was okay. They have the main dining room concept. They have 4 different kind of rooms, which all serve the same things, but they have some specialty things in each restaurant. You can actually order any of the items in any of the restaurants. And also, you'd think because it's just dividing up the 4 rooms, treat them like 4 different restaurants because they have different kind of staff and different managers, and I think that makes a huge difference. And that's what we experienced the first night. We went to Tuscan restaurant, and we didn't think it was very good at all. It looked very disorganized. There was really no order and things. It was really disappointing, actually, to a point where it was kind of not really a very good experience, and I think we did complain about it. But the whole trip was saved by the second place, Cosmopolitan, and by the maitre d' Joanna. She was excellent. She was, for instance, before our reservation, phoned us and welcomed us. That was the saying, she was looking forward to seeing us that night. And when we got there, we got great waiter Royal, we got a great assistant waiter Mahendra, and then we got a great sommelier Kajetan. So the first night it was like night and day. The first night, no service. It was kind of very disorganized, even though we were there quite late at night. The second day was much better. Like the first day, the sommelier didn't even come around to give us a choice of wines or explain any wines to us. The second day was great, to a point where, they told us, hey, we had told them their problems. They just said, don't go to any other restaurant, just come to us for the rest of the trip. And that's what we did, and it was spectacular. So the service standard was spectacular after that. You'll see some of the meals from the subsequent days that we ate. those were just videos from some of the entertainment. I actually thought the staging was really neat, and I thought the shows were good. That show was excellent, but that was only one of the nights, and some of the other nights was the entertainment was a little bit weaker, and so that show and this, but if they were doing that every night, if those performers are doing that every night, that would be excellent. But they only did it, I think, one of the nights. This is one of the examples of what's the advantage of the Infinite Veranda suite. We didn't notice, we wouldn't have noticed this if we had closed our curtains. And so we got this really great view, and then we could take pictures while we're still inside. This is some more examples of the food. This was in the Cosmopolitan restaurant with Joanna and her people. And again, great service once we got there. And this was more what we kind of expected from that celebrity, where you kind of have a rapport with your staff, and you see them every night. I prefer that, and that's one of the problems with this anytime dining or main room dining, where you skip around different restaurants. That's assuming you're kind of assuming everyone has the same standard, and that's not the case. We found there was quite a big gap between the Tuscan restaurant and the Cosmopolitan. We didn't try the other restaurants, but we were happy with where we were at, and that's kind of my suggestion too. If you are happy with one group of people, just stay with them. And really, the dining room experience is the same. Maybe the decor is slightly different, but the food is actually exactly the same in all the restaurants. This is another example of some entertainment. This was a violinist that appeared on Britain's Got Talent, and she was good, but again, not maybe as exciting as the dancers. And there was another night where we went with a good singer, who I guess appeared in musicals in London. He was quite good. So some of the shows were good. The other ones we didn't go to, they weren't as interesting. So I say the entertainment was okay. I've had stronger. There were some I really enjoyed, again, the actual performers, the dancers, and their kind of musicals. Those were really good. Joanna was nice enough to kind of ask her superiors, and they had heard of our bad experience at Tuscan, so they said, "Why don't we kind of have you go to one of our specialty restaurants on us?" And so that was very nice of them. So they picked Raw and Five for us. We see this especially restaurant, I think, in many of the cruise ships on the Celebrity line. And I think we're blessed in Vancouver that we have a lot of good Japanese food. So I'd say, in comparison to what we find in Vancouver, I'd say it's probably not stellar. And so it was decent. It's kind of more Americanized or westernized Japanese food. But it was a nice thought, and we enjoyed the meal. And in terms of whether we would probably pay for that, probably, if I know what I know now, I would not pay for the extra cost for a raw and five. So this was one of the meals on the last nights, more of the formal nights. They no longer have formal nights on Celebrity, so you don't have to dress up. It's kind of optional. It's and I don't think there's so much hoopla. We saw maybe very few people, like 10% of people, really dressed up in suits and tuxedos. Most people were just dressed ordinary, and some people tried to dress a little bit nicer, but we don't see as many picture taking booths around as they used to be. But this formal night, they had surf and turf, they had a baked Alaska, so they had some nice things on the menu. So all in all, I really enjoyed the trip. I thought the ship was excellent. The food was okay. In fact, I thought the best food was actually in the buffet, in the cafe every day. I thought that was really, really good. The service standard is lower than what I would expect compared to, let's say, pre-COVID. But all in all, I still enjoyed the trip, and I particularly enjoyed the room. I thought the room was a big improvement from previous rooms. I think the space they use is much better. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Until next time, safe travels.